Visit sailrite.com for all your project supplies, tools, and instructions. If you have a cover, you may want to consider the boat vent for proper ventilation in your cover. These boat vents are easy to sew into your fabric cover. In this tutorial video, we're going to show you the process.
One of the advantages of the boat vent is it has a tear-shaped style, and that basically makes rainwater run around it, and the vent is at the bottom.
It's easy to sew in and provides excellent ventilation for a cover. For instance, on this RV cover. This type of vent is meant to be installed in the side of the cover near the top.
We're going to put two vents in the cover on both sides, and I'm going to use this zipper location and put them evenly from side to side at 6 feet. So there's 3 and there's 6.
We'll be installing these vents near the top of the cover on the sides. Near the top provides the best ventilation. It's easy to pattern and cut the hole out for your vent. We're going to show you that next.
We already marked the location when we had the cover preliminarily on there, and I'm going to put it a few inches from the top. Once we get this one installed, we'll put them all the exact same. The best way to do it is to take chalk, even sidewalk chalk. This is chalk for upholstery applications, and mark the inner edge with the chalk like so. And then what you can do is you can just flip this over at the location that you want it, making sure that it's nice and straight, and press down. I like to wiggle it just a little bit, and there's your outline. So we are cutting our hole for the boat vent with the edge hot knife. We have a corded version here, which works well and is obviously a little bit cheaper. And then we have the cordless version, which I love, but it does cost more money. So it heats up in a few seconds and cools down in less than a minute. And it's the same way with the electric one here. So you've got two choices for great hot knives from Sailrite. So now I'm going to put the tempered cutting glass underneath it because we want to cut this out with a hot knife. And this should give us a nice lip to sew through. There's no reason to reinforce this because of the fact that it's basically just a vent sewn into it. There's going to be no major stress on it. But you definitely should use a hot knife to cut the fabric to keep it from unraveling.
The tempered cutting glass does several things. Provides a smooth surface for the blade to glide on, transfers all the heat to the fabric rather than the tabletop surface, and prevents damage to the tabletop surface. The next step is basting the vent to the fabric.
There we go. Now we're going to take this boat vent and we're going to put double-sided tape around the outer edge. So I just typically like to start up here. This kind of helps to seal it too, because the double-sided tape kind of helps water from leaking through. But they don't really leak much anyway because they have a nice flange. So go ahead and wrinkle up the double-sided tape to get it to go around the perimeter. No problem. Then when we get to the top of the boat vent, I'm just going to break it with my fingers, and I'm going to peel off the transfer paper, revealing the double-sided tape. This is an acrylic tape. It doesn't yellow in the sun. I'm going to place it underneath my cover where I want it and position it, and then press the fabric to the double-sided tape. Now all we have to do is sew around it.
Sewing around a circular object can be difficult. I'm going to show you a little trick.
We're going to set the machine up in straight stitch, maximum stitch length of 6 millimeters. When you're sewing around a circle like this, it can be difficult. But if you preload your fabric with kind of like what a spring would look like, it's easier. So let me show you. So first, let's get the fabric underneath the presser foot. Okay, and we're going to start sewing here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist my fabric around, and you can see it kind of forms like what a spring would look like. Now that you have to have everything basted well, so make sure that you don't twist it around to the point where everything starts coming unbasted. And I'm going to start right here. So my fabric is pre-twisted. Now I'm going to lower my foot, and I have my needle all the way to the left here so that I can get closer to that edge. And I'm not going to do any reversing at the beginning. I'll do some reversing at the end over top of these previous stitches. Everything's still basted in place, and watch what happens now. So this presser foot's going to be up against the boat vent. And see how easy this is because the fabric is basically pre-turned. Now when I get up this peak, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bury my needle for one more stitch right there, and then I'm going to lift my foot and I'm going to rotate on the buried needle to kind of turn my boat vent around, lower my foot, and then sew down this side. So now I don't have to push a ton of fabric underneath the throat of the sewing machine because I've done that that way. Now I've got to turn a little bit, so I'm going to bury my needle and I'm going to twist my fabric around so I can basically make this turn. I'm going to cut this trailer thread here. And when I get to my previous stitches, I'm going to sew over them a little bit. And then I'm going to do some reversing. And that is all there is to it. Let's take a look to see what it looks like. Yes, that looks good. Look at that. I got a nice stitch all the way around the perimeter, and on the underside it looks good. The stitch is nicely in the flange. Great boat vent, available at Sailrite.
Coming up next is the materials and tools list that we use to install this vent in our RV cover. Though they are called boat vents, they can be used for a variety of venting projects for fabric covers. Order them today from Sailrite. I'm Eric Grant, and from all of us here at Sailrite, thanks for watching.